I'm in my garden today and I've got a tea because it's a bit cold. Now, I'm going to tell you a story that has someone who really likes tea in it as well. This story is called Marmaduke and the Orange Anorak. And it's a story about witches. Now, we both know that witches exist. Of course they do. It's just we don't see them much because they only come out at night, because that's when they do their best work. So there's lots of witch work, and some of it is scaring children so they go home quickly and safely and get into bed. Some of it is catching lost black cats and putting them safely at people's houses where they can be looked after. Some of it is making sure the birds' eggs are safe. Witches are really important and really special. This story is about a witch called Hecuba in her first year on her own. Now, witches are a bit different from us, and they become independent and get to be on their own when they're only 11. Hecuba had the best ceremony to say goodbye to her. In her coven, which is where all the witches live, she had so many celebrations. She had a cake made out of mud and slime. She had flying displays on brooms. She had lots of brilliant dancing, and she had the best thing of all, the ceremony to give her her familiar. Now, a familiar is an animal that a witch has that helps them and keeps them company. Her familiar was a little orange cat, and she loved it. Orange cats are great because when you're out at night as a witch, with a black cat, it's really easy to let them get lost, but with an orange one, you can spot them miles away, so she was very pleased. She put a beautiful little velvet black ribbon round his neck, and in return, he gave her a lick, so all was well. Now, she decided to call him Marmaduke because, as it turned out, he really liked pickled duke's fingers to eat. Who'd have thought it? So, the witches said goodbye to Hecuba and sent her off to live on her street. Every witch gets a street or a village and, if you're very impressive, a big town to look after. But Hecuba was just little, so she got a street. On the end of the street was a very funny little thatched cottage, a bit like this house behind me. It was tiny, there was a crooked chimney pot and weeds growing up in the garden. A perfect witch house. Hecuba loved it. Now, Hecuba was left there on her own to do her witchly business. Every night she'd wake up at midnight and turn off her alarm clock, which was a newt that just got really alarmed when it was midnight, and walk all over her head until she had to calm it down and give it some food. Then she'd pull open the curtains and look out at the moon. She loved a full moon. She'd get dressed. She'd first wash herself with mud and slime, as all witches do, and then put on her big black dress, her long stripy socks, and her pointy witch shoes. Then she'd go down and have breakfast. Now, for breakfast, she would have a nice piping hot cauldron full of tea, because everyone likes tea, and some toast, with pond scum and frog spawn on top. Yum, yum. Then she'd put her witch's hat on, grab her broom, pick up Marmaduke, and head off to look after the street. She'd go and she'd find anything that was lost and put it back where it was supposed to be. She'd look after all the cats and foxes and animals and anyone else that'd be wandering around at night. She'd make sure people that looked lost got home safely. And then, by the end of the night, she'd be content, and as the sun rose, she'd come home, feed Marmaduke, and get back into bed, ready for the next night. But one night, she woke up and she couldn't find Marmaduke anywhere. She looked and he wasn't on top of the crystal ball, and he wasn't underneath her favourite sparkly robes that he loved to cover in fur. He wasn't even in the shower, covered in mud and slime, which he had done before. He wasn't anywhere. She was a bit worried. She put on her stripy socks and her black dress and her pointy shoes, and she pulled on her witch's hat, grabbed her broom, and ran out the door to try and find Marmaduke. She looked all the way up and down the street, and then she saw a flash of orange in the playground, and she ran towards it, but it was just an Orange Anorak someone had left behind. She read the name and it said Tasneema Thomas, so she left it at Tasneema Thomas's flat, outside the front door, but still, no Marmaduke. By the end of the night, when the sun was rising, Marmaduke still wasn't found, and Hecuba was tired. She went to bed disappointed and dejected and heartbroken. In the morning, Tasneema Thomas woke up to a weird scratching at her bedroom window. And when she opened the curtains, she saw a weird orange cat sitting on her mum's plants and messing them up. Now, this was a bit of a surprise, but Tasneema Thomas really likes surprises and she's always wanted a cat. So she grabbed the cat and pulled him into the bedroom. She got dressed for school, put on her school uniform and put the cat in her backpack with the zip a little bit open so he was okay. She went downstairs and went to go out the door when, "Hello, love." "Hi, Mum." "Hello, darling." "Hi, Dad." "I've got you your breakfast." "Okay." "Toast with marmalade and butter, just what you like." Can I have 2 pieces today?" asked Tasneema. "Okay," said her mum. "Busy dreams, were they? Lots of running about?" "Something like that," said Tasneema. She grabbed the toast and went on her way out the door and was just about to leave when... "Tasneema?" "Yes, Mum?" "Where's your anorak?" Oh no, Tasneema had forgotten her anorak in the playground again. She was very good at forgetting things. She opened the door and, tried to think of a good excuse when... She saw it on the floor, outside the front door. "I've got it, Mum. I wouldn't have left it in the playground." She grabbed the anorak, shut the door, and ran down the stairs. Once she got out of sight of the block of flats, she let the cat out of the front, and they shared breakfast together. And Tasneema decided to call the cat Marmaduke, because it seemed to really like toast and marmalade. She went to school and they had the best day ever. All her classmates loved Marmaduke, and anytime Marmaduke would meow, they would all quickly ask Mrs. Shah lots of questions about times tables so she wouldn't see it. And anytime Marmaduke would get out of the bag and start wandering around, they would all tell Mrs. Shah how nice her hair looked, which, by the way, is a very good distraction technique for teachers. You should all try it. By the end of the day, Tasneema had had a brilliant time, and she almost floated home. She was so happy. Her and Marmaduke ran up the stairs to the flat and through the front door, but oh no, she'd forgotten that Dad had a shorter shift today, and so he was already home, and he saw Marmaduke. Tasneema, what's that cat doing here?" He found me." "Tasneema, that's not your cat." "But he is mine, Dad." "Tasneema, that cat could belong to someone who loves him very, very much and misses him." "But Dad, he found me, he's mine." But as Tasneema said it, she looked at Marmaduke and she saw how shiny his fur was and the beautiful black velvet ribbon around his neck. He did look like someone had loved him very, very much. Tasneema and her dad decided the only right thing to do was to find Marmaduke's owner. So she grabbed Marmaduke in her arms and they went door to door in the flats trying to find his owner, but no one had ever seen Marmaduke before. Then they made posters and stuck them on all the lampposts saying "Lost Cat Found by Tasneema Thomas." And then they even went to the local radio station and got DJ Dave to put the word out. And he said he would. But by the time the evening came, no one had said anything. No one had said that they lost Marmaduke. So Tasneema Thomas went to bed, disappointed and dejected and heartbroken. Hecuba woke up. She was so sad. She looked the house for Marmaduke, but he wasn't there. He wasn't there at all. She put on her clothes, stripy socks, black dress, pointy hat, grabbed her broom and didn't even have breakfast and ran out the door. She searched all over but she couldn't find Marmaduke, and then she saw a flash of orange on a lamppost and she went towards it and It was a poster saying someone Tasneema Thomas had found Marmaduke. Hecuba was ecstatic. She flew all the way to the flats just as the sun was rising and banged on the door. Tasneema's dad opened the door. Do you know what time it is? It's 7 a.m. on a Saturday. But before he could even finish, an orange blur streaked through the front door and jumped into Hecuba's arms. Marmaduke, you're okay. Hecuba was so happy. Tasneema yelled from her bedroom, Dad, the cat's got... And then she saw Hecuba, and Hecuba saw Tasneema, and they both started talking at the same time. Thank you so much for looking after my cat. I'm so sorry that I got your cat. I've been calling him Marmaduke. I hope you don't... His name's Marmaduke if you... Huh? You've been calling him Marmaduke? Tasneema's dad started to laugh. I think this is fate that you two were meant to meet. Why don't you come in and you can both have some breakfast together? So they did. Hecuba came in and Hecuba and Tasneema walked arm and arm into the kitchen and they had breakfast together, tea and toast. And they talked about everything they loved doing. They talked about trampolining and flying and playing with the mud, which they both really loved. They became best friends. And they decided to share Marmaduke. Tasneema would get Marmaduke during the day, and Hecuba would get Marmaduke during the night. And Marmaduke slept all the time anyway, so he didn't really care. It was a great way to do things. And they had a best friend now, which they'd not had before, and Hecuba didn't feel lonely anymore. Yeah, she was on her own in the street, but she had Tasneema now, a best friend. All thanks to Marmaduke and that lost Orange Anorak. Thanks everybody. Bye.